Have you ever walked into a room and felt, before you said a single word, that people were already watching you? Not staring, not judging, just aware. You didn't perform anything, you didn't raise your voice, and yet somehow the room rearranged itself around you. Most people would call that confidence. But here's what they don't understand. That's not confidence. That is something older, something quieter. We live in a world that tells you attraction is something you earn. Work harder, talk louder, post more, become more visible. But what if I told you the most dangerously attractive people in history, the ones who never had to chase a single glance, discovered their power the moment they stopped trying to be attractive at all? This is not a video about how to become magnetic. This is a test to reveal whether you already are. Most creators teach attraction as a skill you acquire. A set of habits. 10 things to do before 8 a.m. The Stoics saw it differently. They understood that real magnetism was never something you build. It is something you are, the byproduct of a mind that has learned to stand completely inside itself. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And here's what most people miss. The man who suffers in imagination is the same man who begs for attention. Because he is terrified of being invisible, he performs. He chases. He needs the room to notice him. The man who is not afraid, he does none of this. And that stillness, that absence of need, is what people find impossible to look away from. So I am going to give you 7 signs, 7 quiet proofs. I want you to test yourself against each one, honestly. If you recognize yourself in even 2 of them, you have already won a war most people do not even know they are fighting. And if you recognize yourself in 5, you have already become what others spend their entire lives chasing. Do not skip a single sign. Each one builds on the last, and the final one ties them all together. Consider subscribing, not for my sake, but for your own journey toward mental clarity. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't chase attention. I command my own. Sign 1. You don't explain yourself. Think about the last time someone questioned your choice, a decision you had already made, a path you had already chosen. What did you do? Most people rush to justify. They defend. They lay out the reasons one by one, hoping to be understood, hoping to be approved. They offer a small speech where a single sentence would have done. But here's what they don't understand. The moment you explain yourself, you hand the room the power to judge you. This isn't about being cold. It's about understanding that your decisions are your own, and they do not require a witness. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic doesn't defend his choices. He makes them, and he lets the silence land. He understands that the man who must be understood by everyone will never be respected by anyone. The test. The next time someone questions you, say only what is necessary. Then stop. Do not fill the silence. Let the silence do what 100 explanations never could. 1 sentence and you will feel the air shift, because people don't expect that kind of power. Sign 2. You're comfortable being misunderstood. Most people are terrified of being misread, so they adjust, they soften, they shape themselves into whatever the room expects, because being seen wrongly feels worse than being seen not at all. But here's the question. Why would you hand a stranger the right to define you? Think about it. How many times have you bent yourself into a smaller shape just to avoid a misunderstanding that would have passed in 5 minutes anyway? What I call opinion immunity is the ability to hear someone's judgment of you and feel nothing. Not anger, not hurt, not even the urge to correct them, because their version of you is their problem, not yours. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't walking away from people. It's standing still while they misunderstand you, and not bending. Sensitivity in the eyes of manipulators is something to be twisted until you see it as weakness. But in reality, sensitivity is vigilance, and vigilance does not argue. It observes. The test. Let one person get you wrong this week. Say nothing. Feel the air around you stay steady. That steadiness is what people sense before they even know your name. That is the first scent of a dangerously attractive presence. Sign 3. You can leave first. Think about how most people end an interaction. They linger, they wait, they search for the perfect exit, the perfect last word, the confirmation that they were liked enough to stay. They are afraid to be the one who leaves, because leaving feels like losing leverage. The Stoic leaves when he is finished, not out of rudeness, out of completeness. This is what I call strategic disappointment, the conscious decision to disappoint someone's expectation that you will stay, explain, or chase. You do not do it to punish. You do it because your time is not a negotiation. Seneca understood this. The man who fears nothing needs nothing, and a man who needs nothing from you is the rarest, most magnetic thing you will ever meet. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being so anchored in your own purpose that you do not need the conversation to prove your worth. You thank people and you go, calm, steady, immovable. Think about the last time you stayed too long in a room that had already taken what it needed from you. You felt it in your chest, didn't you? That quiet drain. The Stoic feels that same signal, and he honors it. He stands. The test. The next time a conversation has run its course, be the one who ends it, warmly and first. No apology, no long justification, just, "It was good to see you," and then you go. Watch how much heavier your presence feels the next time you return. Sign 4. Your calm is the loudest thing in the room. Most people think power is volume. They raise their voice, they interrupt, they perform intensity. And in doing so, they reveal the very thing they are trying to hide, that they are afraid of being ignored. But watch what happens to a room when one person doesn't react. When everyone else leans forward, raises their voices, competes for the floor, and one man simply sits back, unhurried, watching. The room will eventually find him. It always does. This isn't about being quiet. It's about being unshakable. And there is nothing on earth people find harder to look away from. Liars don't need facts to win. They don't rely on logic. They rely on one thing: your emotional imbalance, your guilt, your exhaustion, your fear. But what happens when there is nothing to hook into? When your face does not flicker? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Guard the mind, and the face follows. And the face of a still mind is the one people remember long after the loudest voice has been forgotten." The test. The next time you are in a conversation that is speeding up, slow yourself down on purpose. Speak a beat later than everyone else. Breathe before you answer. Watch what happens to the energy. Your delay will command more attention than their hurry ever could. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am the source of my own worth. Take a second. Let that land before we continue, because the next 3 signs are where most people fail the test. Sign 5. You don't chase, you choose. Here is where the test gets sharp. Most people chase. They chase approval, they chase replies, they chase the second date, the second chance, the second glance that tells them they matter. Chasing feels like effort, but it is actually surrender, because the chaser has already decided that the other person holds the value, and he does not. The Stoic does not chase. He chooses. This is emotional sovereignty, the ability to self-regulate without external rescue, to want without needing, to desire without begging. Think about it. When was the last time you wanted something so badly you abandoned your own standards to get it? That is not attraction. That is abandonment of self. Epictetus said, "No person is free who is not master of himself." And the Stoic warrior doesn't walk alone because he hates people. He walks alone because he understands that true connection with others can only come after you have learned to connect with yourself. When you master the art of walking alone, you don't become lonely, you become free. The test. This week, notice one place where you are chasing, a text you are waiting for, a room you are trying to impress. Pull the chase back. Replace it with a choice. Do I actually want this, or do I just want to be wanted? The moment that question becomes honest, your entire posture changes, and people feel it instantly. Sign 6. Silence doesn't make you anxious. This is the sign that exposes everyone. Put two people in silence, and you will see who is free and who is not. The anxious man fills silence as if it were a wound. He jokes, he explains, he scrolls, he makes a noise so he does not have to hear himself think. The Stoic lets silence sit in the room like a third person. He is not uncomfortable because he lives inside what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, that fortified place inside the mind that no outside event can touch. Most people have no citadel. They live entirely outside themselves, on screens, in opinions, in the next message. So silence terrifies them. It shows them the emptiness they have been running from. But you, if you can sit in silence without reaching for your phone, without needing to be entertaining, without needing to be entertained, you have built something most people will never build, a fortress. And that fortress has a gravity to it. People lean toward it without knowing why. This isn't about being mysterious. It's about being at home inside yourself. The test. The next time silence falls between you and another person, do not break it first. Count to 5 in your mind. Let them feel the weight of your calm. The one who can hold silence holds the room. Sign 7. You're attractive to people. You're not trying to impress. This is the sign that ties everything together. Think about the people you have been most drawn to in your life. Were they performing for you? Were they working to win you over? No. They were simply themselves. And the fact that they didn't need you is precisely what made you want them. This is the final proof. The dangerously attractive person is not the one who is attractive to the person he is trying to impress. He is attractive to the person he is not trying to impress. The waiter, the stranger in line, the person who has nothing to offer him. Because attraction is a byproduct. It was never the goal. The moment you stop chasing it, you become it. Not because you have learned the right moves, but because you have stopped moving at all. And in a world where everyone is performing, the person who stands still becomes the most magnetic thing in the room. The Stoic does not need the world's applause to feel complete, and that completeness is what the world cannot stop staring at. The test. This week, pursue nothing, impress no one. Walk into every room as if you already belong to yourself. And watch who starts watching you. Synthesis. Identity transformation. Here is what the Stoics knew and what the modern world has forgotten. Attraction is not a skill. It is not a set of habits. It is not a thing you go out and get. It is the shadow cast by a man who has learned to stand inside himself, who doesn't explain, who doesn't bend, who doesn't linger, who doesn't react, who doesn't chase, who can hold silence, and who doesn't need to impress. You are no longer the person performing for the room. You are the person the room rearranges itself around, not because you demanded it, because you stopped needing it. And in that stillness, you became what everyone else is still desperately trying to be. You are no longer the piece being moved. You are the player. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have chosen yourself. Blade in stillness, sharp, silent, sure. Choose reason. Choose discipline. Walk as the Stoic does. Steady, observant, unshakable. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am already enough, and that is my power. If this message resonated with you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more ancient wisdom that transforms modern lives. And remember, when you master the art of walking alone, you don't become lonely, you become free.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Watch the next one here.